All right, all right, all right. Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome. I'm Hani Mura. I'm here with Thomas from Measure Studio. I'm so excited, man. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So, before we dive into all the good stuff, gonna let people roll in. So, if you're here, you're leaving comments. Yeah, I see it. Awesome, awesome. Just say hi so I know you're here. And just to let you know if I don't pronounce your name, sometimes with StreamYard, you don't see all the names of people leaving comments, but and sometimes I fire up my phone. But you know what? Let's keep it simple. Just say hi, and if you're in the group, just maybe leave your name and stuff. But we got really exciting. Like we got Morgan here, we got Art, we got some good stuff. We got a really good special training today. I'm here with Thomas from Measure Studio, and he's got an amazing app that really, like, literally, like aligns with what we do at Repurpose here. In the sense that Repurpose gets your content out to multiple platforms. Measure Studio comes in and it tracks it all for you automatically and lets you kind of customize and see how your content is doing, and also which content's doing better than others, etc. We're gonna dive in, but before we do that, I'm just gonna wait another few minutes. While we do, we're just gonna chat and just let me know, I guess, if you've heard of Measure Studio. It's pretty new. It's been around, I think earlier this year it launched out to available. So if you've heard of it, or if you're using any kind of tools to track what you're doing now, I'd love to know, everybody watching. Just let me know if you're using a tool right now. And also, I can't wait to show you what Measure Studio can do. So yeah, we'll just, I guess, yeah, I don't even know what. It's been 2 minutes. Let's just do a quick introduction, and we'll just
Sure.
let's roll with it. Let's respect people's time and just roll with it. So
Sounds
maybe
good.
just tell us quickly how this idea came about, and for Measure Studio. I know you have other softwares as well, but how
Yeah,
did Measure Studio come out, and a little bit of background about yourself?
sure. Happy to talk about that. So just starting with me, I'm Thomas Kramer. I'm co-founder and COO over at Paladin Software, the company that offers Measure Studio. I co-founded Paladin about 4 years ago with my business partner, James Creech. He and I both came from the MCN world. So I worked at Maker Studios, which got purchased up by Disney, and he worked at an
Right.
MCN called Ben Pixels. So originally, the business model was, hey, we're going to start out, we're going to build some tools for YouTube networks. And as that industry evolved, we got into influencer marketing, and we still do that today. But primarily, what we had heard from a lot of people connected to our network is, there's a lot of people we know who work in the digital publishing space, a lot of people we know who work directly with creators, a lot of people we know who are creators themselves. And they're
Mm-hmm.
all struggling with one thing in particular, which is multi-platform data. Like,
Yeah.
video 4 or 5 years ago, YouTube was the only game in town. And now it's Instagram, it's Facebook, it's Twitter, it's everywhere. There's live streaming, which you guys are very familiar with. So what we sought out to do is like, okay, how can we make all of this information consolidated in one place? How can we make it really easy for people to understand and analyze and understand, like, okay, what's the content that's doing well? What's the content that's doing poorly? How do I do a little bit better than next time I'm making
Mm-hmm.
a piece of content? And yeah, just make it so you don't have to be a data scientist to put this together. And, we wanted to build a product that was useful all the way, at the tippy top with some of our existing customers of, like major digital publishers of hundreds of social media accounts who are publishing hundreds of times a day, all the way down to like, somebody who's just starting out. Maybe they just started their Instagram, or maybe they just started their YouTube channel, and they want to understand, like, hey, what am I throwing out there that's working, and how do I double down on the strategy? So the end goal is make something really simple that anybody across that spectrum could use and take advantage of.
Yeah, that's what I love, and that's why when we connected, maybe a week or no, maybe a few weeks back, and you showed me Measure Studio, and that was my first reaction. I was like, "Wow, I love that it's simple. You just kind of click a button, you connect your accounts, it just starts pulling in data." We're gonna show that in a few minutes how
Mm-hmm.
it all works, but yeah, I love the simplicity, and I love the fact you don't have to be a data scientist. Like I love
Right.
numbers, but then sometimes I'm overwhelmed by numbers. I'm like, okay, this is great. I got all these views, but or I got this data and that, but what does it mean, or how do I
Right.
compare it? How do I easily compare it with other data? And you know, that kind of stuff. So before we dive into the software itself, I guess what are like some key metrics? So like how does somebody know, like content creator,
Mhm.
you know, our repurpose users are ninjas, we call them, that they are, you know, they're putting content out, they're creating it once, they're putting on different platforms.
Mhm.
How do they know what's working? Like what are signals or signs that the content
Right.
is working on one platform versus the other, or in general, like what's working, what's not working? Like what are good
Whoa.
indicators?
Yeah, it's a challenging question for a lot of
Yeah.
people who just working with the platform's own native analytics. And there's a couple reasons for that. I think one of the biggest challenges is the algorithms are changing all the time. And so is the size of your audience. Like if you're growing at a meaningful clip, you know, say you get 1,000 video views on a given piece of content that you throw out there, well, maybe your following doubled 6 months later. Like, is 1,000 follower or video views on that post really a good benchmark for success? Like, your conditions
Mm,
change. The platforms are also evolving really quickly, and you know, look at a format like stories. Like, stories used to be a Snapchat feature. Now it's on Instagram. Now it's on Facebook. Now it's on YouTube, and it's spreading everywhere. So, you
mm,
know, when the platforms are releasing new features or formats, they tend to overly prioritize those things in the newsfeed and the user interface and change things. And we saw this with live streaming. Like, live streaming 3 years ago on Facebook was a big new product push, and every live stream you saw was at the very tippy top of the feed
mm-hmm.
100% of the time. And then they kind of, you know, turned the water spigot off, and then they pumped it up again for stories. So, you know, the conditions of the algorithm are changing all the time too. So, you know, maybe 3 years ago, really high video view count on a stream is no longer as easily achievable because of that. So now, you know, even though your performance might be a little bit lower, you still might have a really good live stream because relative to all the conditions right now, that stream's doing well. So that's what we try and do is we try and measure you relative to your recent performance on everything. So it's like, did you do a little bit better than last time? Not did you do a little bit better when, you know, the algorithm was favoring this post type, or did you do a little bit better when you had, you know, half the number of followers? So I think that's an important way to like set this up is like, you know, the conditions of the environment are important.
Right.
In terms of like just absolute metrics for success, there's definitely a lot of things to look at. And another problem that we try and, you know, handle, at least when we can, is that the platforms themselves define things differently. So if you look at a video view, for example, on Instagram and Facebook is defined as 3 seconds. So somebody stopped on that feed and they watched for at least 3 seconds. It's autoplay. On YouTube, they don't publish an exact definition, but you click that video and it plays for probably around a minute. At least that's how they log it on an ad view. I think it's 30 seconds or a minute or something close to that.
Okay.
If you look at Twitter, it's, I think, like 2 seconds or 2.5 seconds. So don't quote me on any of these definitions, but I do know that they're all different. So
Right.
one of the challenges is like, how do you measure these things apples to apples across platforms? And that's something that we address by calculating 1 minute views. And we derive that. So it's like,
Mm,
what did you watch 1 minute view on YouTube? And they watched this many 1 minute views on Facebook. And you get a little bit of an apples to apples comparison.
interesting.
But
Okay. Okay.
there's a lot of metrics for success. I mean, impressions are, you know, probably the biggest thing you could look at right now is like, okay, how many people actually saw the thing? And then you kind of go down the funnel from like, you know, impressions to, in the case of video, a video view. So somebody stuck around for a little while and saw it for at least a small portion. And then you take that down to audience retention. And you say like, oh, well, who watched this thing all the way through? And like, really, you know, that's your core metric is like, if you are trying to grow audience, how are you making content compelling enough that people want to watch it all the way through and they want to stick around and follow you later? So like, you know, did this activity generate a new follower? Did they share it and blast it out to other people and try and augment your total impressions? So those are, you know, really the biggest key things I'd be looking
Okay.
at.
So it's like impressions, like how many times the platform put it in front of people,
Yep.
how many times, and then how many actual views you got,
Mm-hmm.
and then any kind of engagement, like in terms of share, comment, like that kind of stuff. I guess
Right.
in your thoughts, opinion, like are those, I want to say equal, but are they equal? Like, is that an engagement? Is a like a comment or a
Mhm.
share? Are they all equal, or is there like more value in getting one versus the other, or kind of from your experience? I
Yeah.
know nobody knows how the algorithms work, but from your experience, like someone that